The story today is about Margaret and Charlie. They were neighbours of ours, joined us in the terraced house that was in the terraced house that they had in the same block as us, a door apart, and they arrived about 1975, and well, they were just great neighbours. When they came at first, Charlie went out and you could see him standing in a very small patch of garden he had and looking around, and I thought, geez, I think it was the prairie he'd bought, he just looking at the space that he had, so absolutely taken with it. And Margaret was standing at her back door watching him, and he came down and said, "Oh, that's great." So anyway, we went in. Now, we didn't recognise at the time that we would be such close friends, but so many things happened, and I won't necessarily tell them in their order, but I'll tell you that what did happen, happened. Charlie liked a wee drink. Well, he very quickly became, with whatever he drank, slightly under the weather. He didn't need to take an awful lot, but I suppose MD knowing him thought he did. It was never ever the case. He didn't like whisky, and it was always Tennant's lager. So this night he'd been out. Now Margaret was out with her pals. This is a good while after he came to stay with us, or stay near us, and it was a good while after the episode with the manure that he got me to order for him, and then took two bins of it and left maybe 2 ton of it. But anyway, he'd obviously been round at the bowling club or somewhere, and he came home, managed to get to the bottom steps. Now he had about 8 steps to go up, and then there was an area, and he would walk forward and go up another 6 steps to the front door. So I happened to be looking out the window, and I saw him coming to the gate, and he opened the gate, shut the gate, turned round, and he started going up the stairs, and he got to almost the last step, and I had turned away at that, and suddenly saw a movement. I looked back, and here he was running down the stairs backwards. I'd never seen anybody move this fast, going in a backward situation like that. He got to the bottom, kind of shook himself as much as, "Oh, how did that happen?" And he looked at the stairs again as much as they must have moved. Anyway, he started off again. He got about halfway up, and he done another wee run backwards, probably finishing in the bottom step. So he was really moved 1 step up. Shook his cell again and kind of looked up as much as, don't know what's happening here, but he set off, and he eventually arrived in the area ground before the steps to his house. So he had about 2 steps forward, 2 strides forward to get to that, stepped onto that, and started fiddling in his pocket for his keys. As he slowly went up, he got the keys out, yanked them out, and he had a good look at them, and he was just about to put them in the lock, and he done another wee backward run right down into the garden, and he stopped in the garden just at the verge. Now if he'd gone any further, he would tumble down the steep grass bank that was there. That was fine. He looked at it again, the usual shrug, as much as it's not going to beat me. So away went up, and as he put the key in the door, he just done another wee backward run. Got down there, still on his feet, back up, had another go at the key. I think he turned the key. But this time I thought I should get out in there, see what I can do. Well, by the time I got out, not only had he run down the stairs backward, but he tripped and fallen and hit his head on a boulder. I don't know how he could hit that boulder because it was well out the road, but he was lying with his head on that when I got out there. And I thought, God, he's killed himself. But I went forward and I said, "You all right, Charlie?" I don't know what happened. I'm all right. But away he went, helped him up the stairs, turned the key, and away he went in. Asked him if he was okay. Yes, I'm definitely all right. That was it. That was one of his episodes. He had a frozen pipe, and what had happened, his grandchildren got the hold of a toilet roll and kept on, they were young, kept on feeding it down and feeding it down and feeding it down the toilet pan. Now that toilet was upstairs in the house, and there were very, very heavy frost, and it froze in the pipe. So when they went to use the toilet, nothing would run away. Now, it was a house that was renowned for plumbing problems. Well, Charlie and Margaret always seemed to have plumbing problems. So I went along and he told me what it was. I says, "Well, Charlie, what I can do, I've got a brazier and I could put it in your back garden, nowhere near the pipe, and we'll put a fire there, and the heat from that will gradually thaw out that pipe." Oh no, I'll split the pipe. So nothing would do, but that would have to wait until it thawed out. And it kept on coming along and having to use our toilet it took about a day and a half for theirs to eventually get enough sunlight on it to thaw it out. That was the second one. They'd gone out one night, and the idea was that Margaret and him were going out for a wee night out, and they hung out two pandas on the washing line. The one of them was a big panda, and the other one was a very small panda, black and white pandas. And so when I saw that, I thought, "Oh boy, we're in for a bit of carry on tonight." So away they went, and I nipped along, and well, the panda was still dripping. The big one, the wee one, was pretty well dry. So what I done, I moved the small one to where the big one was, and I took another one that we had in the house, which was small too, and put it in place of the tiny panda, so it looked as if both of them had shrunk. The small panda looked the biggest, and the wee panda we put there was very small. Anyway, summer night, came home. Charlie was, usual, just fairly enjoying himself, big smile on his face, and he was heading towards the back door to open it. And Margaret says, Charlie, look at that." So he turned around and looked. But the state he was in, I don't think his eyes were focused on anything other than where the keyhole was. "Charlie, I'm asking you to look. What's happened?" Turned round and he looked. And she says, "What is it?" So she took him and led him close to the thing and said, "Look at that. That's pandas." She says, "Aye. But I put the big one up and the wee one up. But they're no there." Charlie says, "What did you do with them?" He says, "I washed them." "Oh, it shrunk." Shrunk, well, it must have been about 100% shrinkage for the size it finished up with that they were looking at. So away he went in. He wasn't greatly worried about pandas at that stage. He was just wanting to get in and get sat down. Maybe hope for another wee can of beer that he had, but that was it. We were looking out, watching what was happening, and Margaret caught us at the back door, just kind of looking out. She came along. "You buggers, you are. What have you been up to?" And I says, "Do you want your panda back?" I says, "Well, only if I get my panda back." So there was an exchange of pandas. And when she took it in and showed Charlie, the wee panda had grown, and the other wee one was much smaller. So that was it. That was him. They had a good old laugh. Many years over, we laughed about that panda carry on. It was when it came up to New Year, Senga and I decided that the house needed a wee bit change. Now we had an orange wall facing the window, couch in front of it, and I think the ceiling they'd looked at too, and there was other 3 walls. Now I don't remember what colour they were, but we changed them too. We emulsioned them between Margaret being in before she went through to have an evening meal, and we knew they were coming in for their first footing at New Year. So we had the place all painted. There was a smell of paint, but emulsion dries quite quickly and it wasn't very strong. In due course, they came in. Now Charlie wasn't a whisky man, it was always Tennant's lager. So he had his Tennant's lager before he came in. Obviously wished Margaret Happy New Year. And he came in and Margaret says, "Charlie, look." Charlie was always getting told to look. Aye, so Happy New Year and all that. Margaret says, "What's wrong here?" And I says, "Well, what do you think is wrong, Margaret?" "I thought the house was a different colour." And of course, then it dawned on her that we had, in fact, painted the walls of the house, inside walls, while they were away along getting their tea, and they were coming in just before 12 o'clock. That was it. Charlie really fancied being a gardener. I saw that in his eyes the first day I saw him in his back garden, looking at a vast area of ground he had, the prairie. So Margaret said, "Well, look, Chris knows what to do with the garden. You go along and ask him." So Charlie came along and he says, What can I put in the garden?" I said, "Oh, you put potatoes, cabbage, leeks." And I went through and lettuce and so on. So anyway, the potato part seemed to interest him. Anyway, next night he came home for his work, and he worked with a firm that done locomotives out at Carluke, or roundabout there, or maybe Motherwell. Margaret comes along and says, "Chris, will you talk to this man about his garden?" I said, "Oh, I have, Margaret. I've told him the things he could put in the garden." "Aye, but listen to him first of all before you say anything." So Charlie came along. "I'm going to plant a garden, Chris." Right? I says, what you putting in?" "Well, the guy at the work, he's an awful good gardener, and he told me." "What kind of potatoes are you putting in?" I says, "Well, just potatoes." I says, "But what are you going to do with them?" "Oh, we'll boil them." "Anything else?" "We'll make chips with them." "Ah, that's the problem, Charlie. Now, that's 2 different types of potato you're working with. You're going to put boiling potatoes in. You can boil them and mash them and such like. But the chips, now this takes a lot of careful preparation. You've got to decide what size of chips you want. So you work it out, slice them up according to the size that you want them to grow, and plant them in a different drill." So he came home with this valuable information, and that was going to be the process he would use. So Margaret came along just at that, and she says, "What do you think of the idea?" I says, "Well, Charlie, when you go back, ask them if it's to fry the chips before you plant them or otherwise. Let them know that you knew you were kidding them." So he realised he'd been getting taken on at that. So I went along, and I think I don't know how many potatoes he planted, but I don't mind him ever lifting them. But he got leeks. Now I showed him how to plant leeks in my garden, I would dibble a hole about 6 inches deep, and I always cut off the bottom part, just a little bit off the roots and a bit off the top of the leek, and dropped them in. You could give it a slight watering, and that took earth down just to keep the roots wet, and that was it. They grew on after that and done very well. So I explained all that to Charlie. So I went along, and here he was planting his leeks, and he had a stick. It would be about 1.5 inches long, and he's dabbing it into the soil and putting a leek into that wee hole. I says, Charlie, you have to put them deeper than that. They'll probably not get enough moisture at that depth. Oh, it's all right, Chris, I'm only wanting wee leeks. So I had to explain to him, make it deeper, but no, would he? He'd been told by this man what to do. So he put his leeks in, and of course, a couple of days later I went, and they were all lying just on their side. They were still green, and they seemed to have taken root, but they finished up to be horizontal leeks. And at one point in time, they did actually use them for soup, but they were just about as thick when they came out as they were when they went in. Now, that was really Charlie. And his next door neighbour, I forget what her name was, but I think it was Gladys. Now, Gladys was like Charlie and Margaret. They'd never had a garden before, and they were new neighbours. And she saw Charlie working in the garden. Well, work was really, on putting them in, he didn't do much work after that. And she came out and she says to him, I've planted potatoes there the way you told me. Aye, that's right, that's the way to do it. She says, but they're not growing. And she says, I put down a lot of weed killer to make sure the weeds wouldn't kill them. So he comes along to me and he says, that lady there's put potatoes in, they're not growing, there's none of them growing. And I says, so I went along and I says, well, Gladys or Mabel, whatever her name was, what did you do? And she said, oh, Charlie showed me how to put these potatoes in, so I done that. And then I put some weed killer in the row along with them. That was to make sure the weeds, when they come up, and get them out. Folks said, you've got to keep it free of weeds. I says, aye, well, I have a fair doubt that you're ever going to get tatties out of that, because weed killer will kill the potatoes as well as the weeds. So that was it. That was the end, really, of that story. Charlie did many other things. When Margaret died, he went round to the bowling green. He was quite a bowler, and he liked to bowls because you could get a wee drink in the bowling club. And came home, and he came along and he says, Chris, could you show me how to cut these onions to put in the mince? So I went along. I thought, this is no big task. But what he was doing, he was cutting them and chopping them and chopping them until they were about the size of a grain of barley, and then he'd put it into the mince. He says, but I don't like it like that. I like to see the onions. I said, well, Charlie, all you do is you just cut the top and the bottom off your onion, and if you like it big, quarter it and put it in. Oh, but Margaret always put onions in. I says, I know that. But I mean, she probably didn't chop them as small as you. So a few nights later, he's round at the bowling club, and I only heard this much later, that someone was talking about cooking and so on. And Charlie says, oh, if it's mince and tatties you're doing, I'll show you how to do it. So he explained very deliberately how to deal with onions in mince. From that point onwards, they always called him the chef or the cook. I can't mind which, but that was it. Unfortunately, Margaret died with a brain cancer. We lost an extremely good friend. She went to church with us every Sunday. It was certainly not her creed that took her there. She was a Christian, and she would go to wherever there was a church service. Charlie, well, could describe Charlie as a blue nose, but the pair of them got on absolutely fantastically. They had a young daughter, and boyfriend came to the door. Now, the character that came was a really kind of a loudmouth, a person, in fact, that Margaret wouldn't have even let their daughter out with. And the daughter said, "No, I'm not going out with you. I don't know what you got the impression that she was going to go with him." So a few months later, her daughter was going with a lad who was a chemist, and he would eventually go on to have 3 chemist shops, but at the time they were just courting and not married at that time. The door goes, and here's this guy, and Joanne says, "Look, I'm not going out with you. I've got a boyfriend here." Says, "Well, let him see him." And the boyfriend went to the door. He got the hold of his head and pulled him down the stairs. Now there was 8 stairs down to the pavement, and he started trying to lay into her husband, and of course Charlie went out and finished up. There was 3 people round this guy trying to pull him off Joanne's boyfriend, as he was at the time. I heard the noise and I went out, and he was still going at the 3 of them, and so I went forward and I whipped his feet away from him, and he was lying in the pavement. Now, I didn't want to hit the lad, for there was enough on him, but I went over and sat in his tummy and bounced up in it, and he started laughing that much that the fight stopped. He wasn't fit for anything like that, and well, away they went. But Charlie had been trying to put the head on him, and he got so excited that at one stage he came off the pavement, dived into, in fact, put the head on him, and instead of getting onto the pavement, he hit the curb and finished up heading the pavement. That was the end of the story. We very much miss him. Robin. Robin?
Yes.
That's it.